Hey, Shalom, Shalom, Shalom. First and foremost, call halal Yahweh, Ba'ashim Yahushua, Ba'ashim Rikakwadash, and of course, once again, double honors go out to the apostles, bishops, and elders, great millstone, who through the Holy Spirit continue to push out this truth, wisdom, and knowledge, and of course, through the Holy Spirit, we're able to get that, and therefore pass it on to you. This is Mom of the DC camp, and I'd like to address something today. I would like for those of you that see this particular video, if you could, the bishops and elders last night did an excellent video called Exposing Esau, the Beastly Wild Man Hidden Underneath a Suit and Tie. And they went in, all right? Beautiful. I made sure I downloaded it because I expected it not to last very long. In fact, I'm surprised it's still up. But in any case, I suggest you look at that. And as such, what I'm going into today now, for those of you who've been paying attention on what's going on around in the world, there's been this, I don't know, quite a few incidents lately of quote unquote banking while black. All right. And we know this devil hates us. And I'm just wondering, like, okay, you go into a bank. Why is this not happening to anybody else? You go into a bank, you cash a check. And I'm going to start off with the young man here at the bottom. He gets off, he does a 12-hour shift. And then this is Jake, okay, young Jakes in particular. But it can happen to any of us. You know, you just go in, you hand your check to the teller or whoever, and you really don't expect a ration of shit or at the most to lose your life, depending on how the police respond. So let me just go ahead and read this. It says, banking while black. Police video shows how cashing a paycheck led to handcuffs. And this happened in December, this past December. It says, Joe Morrow, all right, had just finished a 12-hour shift as an order picker at a grocery distributor in Hopkins last year when he stopped at a U.S. bank branch in Columbia Heights to cash his paycheck. Despite having an account with the bank, okay, he had an account with them, and showing his ID, that simple transaction led to a call to police, threats of arrest, and Morrow being placed in handcuffs. A bank manager told officers he suspected the check was a fake, but police body camera video shows he only called Morrow's employer for verification after the 23-year-old black man was removed from his office. The check was, in fact, real. So, okay, here's the thing. To show their contempt for us, they didn't even follow procedure correctly. All right. Well, this looks like a fake check. Yes. Could you send a unit to address, this bank, whatever. There's a young African American here, and that's code, And now you got a fleet of police vehicles headed toward that one specific, bank. All right. Wow. It says U.S. Bank disputed Morrow's allegations of racial profiling, but quietly agreed to a confidential settlement 2 weeks after the station investigated. All right. It says lawyers, and there he is sitting in the office there. Lawyers and advocates say Morrow's experience raises questions about implicit bias, and that's exactly what it was. All right. Because you don't see these stories happening to anyone else. And is part of a national phenomenon that more black Americans have been documenting in recent years with the social media hashtag banking while black. When I'm coming out of the manager's office, I was handcuffed. People were looking like I'm a criminal or something. All right, so much for caring about our mental well-being. I mean, in light of what you see in a lot of states passing laws when it concerns critical race theory, because they don't want their kids to suffer mental anguish because they're being told the truth about who they are, who their parents and grandparents and what they did, who they are and what they did. But we have to protect their fragility, their mental, it just boggles the mind. And you got a lot of our people that just want to fucking stay here. All right. It says the body camera video. U.S. Bank declined request to share any video of what happened, but I am going to play this. Let me see if I can find it. There is a video of this. Hopefully it's here. Let's see. You know what? I'm going to have to go this particular one. There we go. It's the same one. Here we go. Now watch them try to goad this young man into doing something stupid.
What's it like to buy a house in Washington, D.C.?
Let's talk about how that can help save you thousands
Salaki
of
for the
dollars.
commercial.
We have
Coached.
Good evening. I'm Kevin Dorn.
Watch this.
This is Nightcast. Accused, handcuffed, humiliated. Tonight, 5 Investigate shows us what happened to a young black man in Columbia Heights who was trying to cash his paycheck. Lawyers
This is
and
in
advocates
Minnesota,
say
by the way.
his experience is part of a national phenomenon known as banking while black. That man tells investigative reporter Eric Rasmussen he was racially profiled when a manager called police minutes after he walked into a U.S. bank branch last year. This is a story you will only see on Nightcast.
That man, Joe Morrow, spoke with us in detail about what happened. U.S. Bank, however, would not go on camera. It settled with Morrow after we started asking questions, but we were still able to obtain police body camera video of that incident that the bank does not want you to see.
Of course not.
When police got the call to a busy U.S. Bank branch in Columbia Heights last year, a call for a fraudulent check and a suspect posing a threat.
How's it going?
This is how they found 23-year-old Mississippi native Joe Morrow sitting in a chair in the bank manager's office, leaning back with his hands folded. Police blurred out branch manager John Asquith, as state law requires, because he did not want us to see or hear him in the video. Morrow wanted everyone to know what happened.
I just got through working like 12 hours, I think.
His job at UNFI, a grocery supplier better known as Super Value in Hopkins. Closer to home, Morrow stopped here at U.S. Bank in Columbia Heights to cash his paycheck for $900. Despite having an account, that simple transaction was anything but.
They was all looking at me and just staring at me. And then looking at the check, then staring at me again. I'm like, now I'm already knowing like what they thinking, the check fake. The manager, he came over and said, "Joe Morrow, your check fake." And I said, "What?" He said, "You people are always coming in here with fake
You
checks."
people.
What do you think he meant?
Black people.
I work there, bro. And I'm a recruiter too, bro.
Morrow continued pleading his case with Police Sergeant Justin Pletcher in the room. Morrow's claim of racial profiling immediately met with this warning.
Joe, I need you to calm down, first of all, okay?
Calm down.
Don't say anything stupid, because you're just going to get arrested for it, all right?
Still sitting in the chair as the sergeant held his ID and his check, Morrow insisted it was the bank who owed him an explanation.
They call me in front of everybody talking about this is a fake check. That ain't a fake check. I work there. We could confirm that.
2 minutes later,
What's his name?
Joe.
a second officer arrives and the bank manager asks police to take Morrow to an adjacent office.
The manager told the officer, "Like, can you get him out of my office? He might touch anything on my desk." I'm like, what? I'm like, that's when I got super mad. Like,
See, this is the thing. These fucking Edomites, these so-called white people, these scumbuckets, they cannot resist. They always show their contempt for us, all right? So it's like, I don't even want to be around the motherfuckers. I don't want to, I make it known that I don't like you, all right? And any opportunity I get, me personally, hey, if I'm walking down the street and I got some of them approaching me, I'll switch my bag to the other side, I'll play those games they like to play with us, those little mind games. Why should, you know, I be the only one to suffer? All right, I do those things. When I'm at an ATM, I see them behind me. I'm always looking, checking, I play those games, but at what point, I mean, me personally, it's already too late. A lot of people just aren't going to get it. They just got to fucking go. All right. The 2/3 got to go, like I said. But this young man, like I said, you see the officer there. He's sitting down, not doing anything, and yet, what? The officer's like, well, don't you do anything. You might get arrested for it. And, it gets worse.
What, I'm gonna touch something on your desk.
Joe. That anger only visible
Chill.
for a second.
Joe, let's go over there, man.
When he complies with officers' orders and stands up.
Okay, let's handcuff him.
A split second, Morrow says he'll never forget.
Like, definitely when I got handcuffed and stuff, everybody looking like, when I'm coming out his office, I was handcuffed, so people looking.
How did that make you feel?
Like crazy, like I'm a criminal or something, like I'm doing like something bad, like I actually came here with a fake check.
In his report, the sergeant later wrote that Morrow flexed at John, the bank manager,
See?
in a threatening manner.
I didn't threaten him. I got up, like like a mad.
Do you have anything on you that could harm Pauline anyway?
Still handcuffed, Morrow offered more evidence of his innocence.
I got the text and Neil said what day it started and all that, and how many hours I worked, all that. I could have came to here and showed them that.
According to the police report, the bank manager said he'd received a lot of fraudulent checks using the UNFI logo. Morrow says the manager claimed he already called the company and confirmed the check was fake.
So, who do we need to call?
But this body camera video shows the bank manager did not actually make that critical call until after Morrow was already in handcuffs.
See?
So it's a real, the check number's real.
Morrow's employer confirmed the check was in fact real.
There's no question in my man, if he'd been white, this would never happen.
5 Investigates showed the video to a community leader.
Are you seeing that okay?
I am.
The founder of a nationally recognized implicit bias training program for police.
But this is Minnesota. This is not who we are.
And University of Minnesota professor Samuel Myers Jr.
And you get clowns like this. Yes, that's exactly who they are. All right? But you get clowns like this, these are these, old school jakes that should know better. They lived through a certain era where they saw these motherfuckers, these Edomites, these so-called white people's horns. All right? They never changed, but they bought into this bullshit, civil rights shit. But let me, there's some more here. All right, so you got that. His name is Joe Morrow. So let's go to another one. Let's go to a doctor. All right. A black Houston doctor's $16,000 check was refused. Now she's suing Chase Bank. All right. Malika Mitchell Stewart was proud to deposit her first big check as a new physician. But her special moment was derailed after she alleges she was racially profiled and denied service at a local Chase Bank. Mitchell Stewart, 35, said in a lawsuit filed Tuesday that she went to the First Colony branch in Sugar Land on December 18th to open an account and deposit her check, which amounted to $16,000. But staff began to ask peculiar questions, challenging the validity of the check and her employment as a physician. The check was a signing bonus after completing her medical school residency and starting employment with Valley Oaks Medical Group, the lawsuit says. It alleges that bank employees denied her service and accused her of fraud. As soon as Dr. Mitchell Stewart showed employees at First Colony Branch her check, they immediately treated her like a criminal. Even after Dr. Mitchell Stewart showed employees at First Colony Branch identification, emails between her and the clinic, and she works for along with her business, she was still treated like a criminal. It says, I've never done anything wrong. This woman had no criminal record whatsoever. In order to get Texas medical license or a medical license at all, you have to have a clean record. You have to go to school for so many years, and they just didn't care. They didn't respect that. They didn't respect my credentials. Okay? So that goes to show you all that stuff you go through, all your accolades. You know, in this case, she went to medical school for, I imagine, at least 8 years. All right? None of that matters because they look at you like, what? You're less than. We are less than. All right? Her attorney, Justin Moore, called the act egregious, especially for someone who is intentional about serving. We want to foster conversation and highlight the intersection of race, identity, and culture. All right. It says for her credentials to be questioned and for her to be accused of being a scammer is unforgivable. We as a community need to protect them when instances of blatant discrimination is used to belittle and diminish their status as essential professionals. So on the one hand, the first one I read you, this Jake, average Jake, just finished a 12-hour shift, went to cash his check. Boom. You see how quickly that could have really gotten out of hand. That's why I made the statement that I made from the onset. All right. And I still didn't play it long enough because the cop sat down and talked to him, was still trying to goad him into doing something stupid. My guess is because they know this is bullshit and they expected, well, maybe this guy might sue us. All right. That's another thing you got to be careful about. It says the lawsuit alleges that the employees did not provide any justification for believing the check to be fraudulent and refused to provide any alternate methods to assist her. All right. Mitchell Stewart went home to avoid being arrested, but returned on December 27 with her mother to file a complaint. They state in the lawsuit that they spoke with a branch manager who said that Mitchell Stewart could have opened an account and deposited a check, and the bank would only have needed to hold the funds until the transaction was verified. Exactly. Again, procedure. But when it comes to us, you throw all that shit out the window. It says the branch manager also apologized but stated that Chase can refuse service to anyone without justification, according to the suit. To open a personal account, Chase requires all potential patrons provide documents that verify their identity, age, or address, and in some cases a minimum initial deposit, according to its website. The only time someone would need to provide professional credentials is if they were attempting to open a business account, which has different identification requirements, which she did not. All right? She just did that to say, you know, and it's a shame, and that goes also to prove that this whole is completely something different when it comes to us. You have to you have to provide your credentials, your proof of your education, your job. Like it's asking you for your papers, you know. Blah, 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 blah. Of course, the bank is going to give the old company line, so I'm going to skip that. But Moore said, and she's right, fake apologies aren't enough, and they want economic justice. Just like all the Edomites do. Whenever something's done to them, they don't just accept, I'm sorry. Oh, no. You got to give up that money. All right? It says he filed a civil lawsuit Tuesday in the U.S. District Court for the Southern District of Texas on Mitchell Stewart's behalf, seeking more than $1 million in damages and saying that the incident caused Mitchell Stewart severe emotional distress, mental anguish, disgust, revulsion, nausea, embarrassment, disparagement, shock, and utter humiliation. Just like the Jake in the first one. The suit alleges that the employees personally acted with malice and or reckless indifference towards Mitchell Stewart's rights and single her out because she is an African-American woman. Let's go to the next one. All right? Because this one is wild. This is in Arizona. Bank in Arizona calls police on black man trying to cash check from a boat sale. This is just not too long ago. All right? Allman Brewer, a black man, tried to deposit a $3,200 check at the Pinal County Federal Credit Union in Apache Junction, Arizona. Sounds like a normal day, right? Instead, the manager of the bank decided to call the police on him for having a fake check. Something similar like this happened to well-known Black Panther director Ryan Coogler when he tried to withdraw cash from an Atlanta bank. In Minnesota, a black man was handcuffed for trying to cash his own check at a bank in December. The manager of the bank initially told police that the check Brewer was trying to deposit was fake, although he later admitted that it was inconclusive whether the check was fake or not. According to 12 News, Brewer just sold a boat to a woman on Facebook Marketplace, and she paid with a check. His bank advised him to take the check to the woman's bank so he could get the money quicker. All right? Nothing wrong with that. Everything's, good to go. He said when he gave that information to the credit union teller, she kind of looked surprised. The Pinal County Federal Credit Union told 12 News the bank manager called 911 after running Brewer's check through a third-party verification system. The results came out inconclusive. That's inconclusive. It doesn't say that it's fraudulent, all right? It says the credit union also stated that the manager was able to get a hold of the customer who wrote and verified the check while officers were on the way. But the police body cam shows the officers weren't aware that the customer verified the check for about 10 minutes. The moment has had a lasting impact on Brewer, a former college and professional basketball player. It was just, black guy, locks in his hair, tattoos, came on a Harley, let's assume the worst. Why embarrass somebody like that? Why, make them feel less than a man? He said the Pinal County Federal Credit Union stated that the check had red flags that gave the impression that it could be fake, such as an old credit union logo and routing and accounting number that did not contain the information of the member. Brewer said, I haven't been inside a bank since. Don't blame him, all right? It says at no time, and this is the credit union, all right? It said at no time did the staff feel threatened or feel Mr. Brewer was trying to rob the credit union. As authorities were en route to the manager was able to get a hold of the member to obtain verbal verification she had read the check. Once the manager was able to validate, why didn't you do all this before calling it? See, because again, when it comes to Jake, they've over so long a time have fed into, and of course, broadcast this narrative that when it comes to, black people, or, if we got any kind of money, they're doing their drug dealers or they're just criminals or whatever have you. All right. In the meantime, and I'll go into that after I get through with this, as I said, I hope you watched the bishops and elders video about exposing that white man. That's on GMS on air, exposing Esau. It says once the manager, and again, even with the member's verification of authenticity, because of the type of check presented and the fact that Mr. Brewer was not a current member, we were unable to proceed with the transaction. They're looking at trying to poke all kinds of holes now. Is that recently we have been seeing an uptick in fraudulent activity, and this situation echoed other scenarios throughout our other branch locations. Blah, 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 the company line. But here we go. And this is what I mean to say about all this is that the late Dr. Francis Cress Welding of D.C., Washington, D.C., of course, for those of you that don't know who she is, she wrote the book, The ISIS Papers, and she was a child psychologist. And she would often say that, this devil, so-called white man, suffers from an inferiority complex. All right, and yeah, you think, and this whole thing about always trying to make Jake look out to be the bad guy. You notice with his policing and all this, he always has to try to associate himself with law and order, that he's the only upright, righteous man in the world, and he has to police the world. Well, I thought about that, and I'm not a psychiatrist or /psychologist, all right? I'm just a layman, but what I'm about to tell you, I don't have to be. This all goes to something called let's see, it's in psychology. All right. Here it is, the scum bucket of the earth. When we read Job 30th chapter, when we read, Genesis, from Genesis 25, this, because he sold his birthright, all right, this hatred of Jake, there, from the time that Rome fell up until the Renaissance period, when they were just in such a low state, and this is not the first time, all right? These people by nature are just low, they're base. And to cover all this up, this is what I'm going into when I brought this out. Let's go read projection, all right? Let's go to Britannica. Actually, I should have went, well, let's go with this. Projection, a mental process by which people attribute to others what is in their own mind. For example, individuals who are in a self-critical state, consciously or unconsciously, may think that other people are critical of them. All right. But let's read the, hold on. Oh, crap. What did I do? Here we go. In other words, they have a serious problem, all right? And it says projection is the process of displacing one's feelings onto a different person, animal, object. The term is most commonly used to describe defensive projection. That's what I wanted. Attributing one's own unacceptable urges to another. For example, if someone continuously bullies and ridicules a peer about his insecurities, the bully might be projecting his own struggle with self-esteem onto the other person. All right, and this goes into Freud, and of course, you know, Freud had his own problems. But that's the point, all right, as a defense mechanism, all right, because he's a low-life piece of shit, so therefore, he's cast that onto Jake. And while Jake has their own problems, Jake is not the wicked, as this piece of shit was created to be, all right? Projection is a defense mechanism in which an individual, in this case we're talking about a nation of people, recognizes their unacceptable traits or impulses in someone else to avoid recognizing those traits or impulses in themselves subconsciously. That was straight to the point. I should have went to this one first. All right. This is what is happening and has happened. All right. So everyone, through the power of the media, remember those books that we've read since being in the truth, at the hands of persons unknown. What was Ralph Ginsberg? 100 Years of Lynching, and other books. What do you think all that was about? At the base, look at this. His hatred for us, casting us. Look at those newspaper clippings. Black brute rapes white woman. Any other disparaging remarks that contributed to how we were treated, how we were murdered, all right, lynched. You know, these are the things that happen. You can't, and now, in order to, I don't know, they think that the evidence somehow is not going to, it's sad because now they're coming up with all these laws trying to protect their children's, what was it called? It's called white fragility, all right? So now they're trying this critical race theory stuff because they're trying to protect themselves for all this information coming out on how fucked up, how much they fucked over our people. Our people, all we wanted, we built communities trying to get away from all this shit. And what did they do? They use an excuse. I like to use the one with Tulsa. What was the guy's name? He was known as Diamond Dick Rowland. All right, just go with it. And it turns out he was messing around with the girl that accused him. All right, Edomite, white girl. She told the people, no, he just tripped getting on the elevator and he just, braced himself, against me. No, they went with it and said that, he tried to rape her. So they had an agenda. They did not want, it was nothing about whether he did or didn't. They used that as an excuse because Jake was doing so well and did not need them. So all this shit when you hear about, well, they're lazy, blah, 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 that's bullshit. There's so many incidents you can look up to where our towns were burnt down, the people were run out, they were murdered. Some towns that are underwater today, under lakes that people actually fish, and this devil gonna pay for everything that he's done. Trust you me, all right? So why would you have any sympathy for a piece of shit like this, all right? We tell you scriptures like Psalms 83, like I said, Job 30, all this shit, Malachi 1st chapter, verses 1 through 4, all right? There's no chance for repentance from this devil. Romans 9th chapter, all right? Hebrews 12th chapter, verses 16 and 17. There's nothing this devil can do. So why are our people wasting so much energy and trying to save someone that cannot be saved, that the Most High himself hates, that has a righteous hatred, righteous indignation towards? And you get into Isaiah 34th chapter, Ezekiel 25th chapter, all right? There's no coming back for him. Hey, so with that, I hope whoever has viewed this video is edified, as we at Great Millstone love to do. And again, I hope you can watch this video, not this one, so I can, right here, exposing Esau.
We live right now.
All right, the beastly wild man hidden underneath a suit and tie. All right, he's good at acting. All right, and as such, yeah, he is the hypocrite. All right, hey, so with that, once again, I hope whoever views this is edified. So with that, shalom.